How's it going, everyone? Hope everyone is well. Gonna get started very soon here. Just want to make sure everyone can see my chart and hear me okay. Can you see my chart? Can you see my drawing? Hope that is all good, and then we can get started. Okay. Good evening. Good evening. Good. Good. Nice to see you, Evergreen. Nice to see you, Hussein. Nice to see you, Trusty Harris. Harris. Oh, good. All right. So we're gonna get started. We'll start with Forex pairs first. I think there is some movement in the Forex pairs. Forex market. We can take a look into those. I'm only in two positions. I'm in Euro Kiwi still. I'm in Euro Kiwi. I am in Kiwi Yen. My Aussie Yen position, I actually got stopped out here for a full loss. I'll explain that after. But I am in Kiwi Yen. So I'm in Kiwi Yen here, and I am in Euro Kiwi as well. So I'll go over these positions as we get to them. But so far, just live in two positions, and Aussie Yen is closed down for 4% loss. Okay, so let's start with Forex pairs. Let's start with probably dollar index. Let's take a look at what the dollar is doing and kind of what we see from the dollar itself. I'm good. I'm good. Thank you very much. Thank you. Dollar CAD, I'll go over that. Sure. Good, good. Everything's clear. Nice to hear that. Hello, hello. Nice to see everyone. So yeah, let's get started. Um, yeah, so crypto, I'm gonna leave it till later. Okay, I'm gonna go over the forex pair first, and then I'm going to go over indices, commodity. I'll leave crypto last. Okay, so I'll leave crypto last. But if you have any crypto pair, you're welcome to type it in. I can go over them. But I'm gonna start with crypto forex pair first. Okay, there's some movement here today, or at least since the last weekly update. So I do want to talk about them a little bit more. Okay, so I appreciate that. Let's get started now. So dollar index. What do I see on dollar index? So this is a current dollar index right now. We talk about that there is a potential kind of larger continuation here. I think we point out this in the last weekly outlook. And this is the area kind of we want to watch out for. And I saw some of you guys talk about that in the Telegram. Some of you guys kind of see this as a potential continuation, and certainly that could lead into it. And if we look at how far the daily, or at least the higher time frame, we still kind of have a little bit more room to the downside. It looks like there's a little bit more gap, at least to this overall low. So certainly one way of seeing this can push down to that low, and then we'll see how that works. I think that's kind of one way you can see that. However, kind of what I'm seeing here, at least on the lower time frame, this almost look like an inverse head and shoulder, and looks like a reversal kind of structure, reversal correction. So instead of a continuation correction to go down, this looks almost like a reversal to push up. Certainly, we're still in New York session. This can, plays out. This can still develop a little bit more. We don't know what will happen, but at least this given time, this given stage so far, looks like this reversing. And I think this could be due to some news event. I woke up at like 5:30 or 6. There's some news event with the dollar. A lot of dollar pairs are moving pretty erratically as well, right? So we'll take a look at the dollar and we'll take a look at yen. But at least what I'm seeing here on dollar index, it's a little bit unclear, right? You can see this as a potential continuation, or this is an inverse head and shoulder as well. Okay, so be careful right now. I think in terms of the dollars, they could be still pretty volatile in the next few hours, at least through this New York session time. This is the time the dollar is going to move pretty volatile as well. Okay, so that's kind of what I'm seeing here right now so far. Okay, so let's take a look into a few dollar pairs, and we'll kind of dissect into what we see. S&P 500, I'm gonna go over that after I finish the Forex, okay? So I'm gonna finish the Forex market first and then I'll jump into indices after. Good morning, Leslie, nice to see you. So what do we see on Aussie dollar now? I remember last weekly outlook, I was looking to see if this move, well, at the time when we have this kind of a continuation looking like, right? This is the time when we started the week, we were looking at something like this. And I was thinking, well, if this move can either push up to the high here, then to give us a better selling opportunity, or even to this high here, a better selling opportunity in terms of market price action wise, right? Because we're in this kind of larger kind of ascending channel structure. So at the time, I felt like there could be another move to the upside before the short side down. But looking like what we have today, or at least in the last few days, a little bit more development here on the lower time frame. It looks like we just have a reversal. It looks like that we push the price up out of this potential correction, but instead of continuation correction that we're going to see, we get reversal correction, right? This is more as ascending kind of channel. If we dig a little bit deeper here, this looks almost like ascending channel. We push down, correct, we push down, correct, and we pushing down again, right? That is kind of what we're seeing right now from the price. So price may or may not reach this high, okay? May or may not reach this high, and this kind of happening here right now could just eventually lead into some sort of more further bearish downside. So for me though, I talk about that at weekly outlook, I was only looking for short from the top. I'm not looking for the buy if this pushes up. But now how the market developed now, I would be looking for something like this. I would want to see market just kind of continue pushes down more, right? I'm not looking to enter somewhere here or anything like that, but I would be interested if it push out and then continuation out, because that way at least we're seeing it from a higher time frame perspective that this potential ascending channel that the price is in could potentially is complete, and then we're breaking out of this structure now. So certainly continuation downside, I think that's more valid in my eye. You can almost see this as a correction now instead of the previous one. So if we just eliminate these original kind of bias here, if you look at this as an impulse correction impulse, and this is just a sideways consolidation, and then if we break out, then certainly continuation here would be very ideal. So that's kind of what I'm looking at for a couple dollar pairs. I think there's only a few dollar pairs that I do like seeing it. I do like this overall move now instead of what we were looking at before. So as the market develops, this is kind of how we have to adapt, right? We talk about that we're not married to our analysis. We're not, just looking at it one way. As the market develops, and we have to adapt to what the market is doing. So how I'm seeing this now, as long as this ascending channel on the higher time frame can be broken, then I would be looking for some sort of lower time frame continuation. I think that would be very aligned with the overall higher time frame as well, higher time frame overall bias that this overall structure is pretty corrective, and that I would be looking for a breakout and continuation to the low. Okay, so let's look at Kiwi dollar. Kiwi dollar, again, last week, not last week, weekly outlook, when I was looking at this, at this given time, right? I remember when the week start, I mentioned, I don't think this is enough. At least this current correction is enough to push out the price. But as we can see, as price develop further and further, that gives a little bit more bearish bias. It's just that in the beginning of the week, when this is all we see, I just didn't see this is all enough it is for the price to start reversing. But as the week goes on, as the price continue to develop, as we get a little bit more structure, a little bit more price action, right? We're getting a little bit more channel, ascending channel, horizontal channel that is correcting here to this previous high. That gives us a little bit better confluence to be looking for some sort of reversal. And that is kind of what happened during this last few days. We finished this ascending channel, or horizontal channel in this case. We pushed out of that channel, and now look like there is some sort of continuation correction here. Okay, so this certainly could lead into more kind of a bearish kind of price action. The way how I see it now is, instead of going all the way up to the top now, as what I was talking about during the weekly outlook, we are pretty much pushing down from this potential double top now. and this almost looks like an M style pattern as well. This M style is rather corrective when it's moving up, and so if we're pushing down here, in my opinion, the entry is probably going to be here. So if you're not in the entry, or if you didn't get in on something like this, I really wouldn't be getting in halfway now, because we're about halfway through this correction here. So there's only this much room left to the lows here. So I really wouldn't be getting in here. But preferably if we just develop, when we complete this overall structure, this is the previous low now, right? So if this price just continue push down, push out of this low, then certainly continuation down would be much more ideal than personally getting it somewhere like this. Okay, so that's the difference here in my opinion. It's not that if you're getting it here is wrong, right? There certainly could be a correction here and then just kind of push out the price. It's just from experience, when this structure, this M kind of structure, is already almost halfway finished, sometimes we're just going to get a deeper correction or something like this before the downside, and your entry may or may not be able to hold through the price, right? So want to be careful on these type of structures. I like what we're seeing. I like how there is actually the more development than what we see on Sunday afternoon or Monday morning. There is a little bit more structure, a little bit more bearish price action. So I would like to see this overall structure to complete, breaks down, followed by continuation, and then potentially looking for short down to the low, and then we'll see how price overall will react to this previous low. And if we can break down, obviously there's going to be more further bearish opportunities. Okay, so that's kind of what I see on at least these $2 pairs. So I think those are the more noticeable, or the one that I'm going to focus on. I will go through a couple other dollar pairs, but I'm not. These are the $2 pairs. Aussie dollar and Kiwi dollar is something that I will be looking for in the upcoming days if it develops into something what I want to see. All right. Looking at you guys' comment, where can I find the news that affect currency pair prices? Ali asked that. You can find it in Forex Factory. You can find it here. So I'll post this link here. This is how you can find pretty much all the currency news events. You can find it. You can see the upcoming ones as well. I just filter it so I only see the high impact news. To be honest, I don't really look at this too much, but if there is news event on currency, this is where you can find out. Okay. Fry doll, you guys are geniuses. I can barely scribble a trend with a crayon, let alone tell you anything more than it's going up and down. It's all speculation, right? It's all speculation, right? We're doing forecasting, we're doing analysis. That's part of trading, right? But it's all speculation, of course, right? It's nothing is for certain. The way how I describe trading, it's always a probability, right? So I'm just explaining it from a probable sense that certain things could play out or whatever, but obviously it doesn't necessarily have to play out the way how I explain it. But that's why we kind of wait for confirmation. We wait for price to do certain thing before we get into the market. So at least if these conditions are not met, then I'm not entering the trade, as it say, right? So that way I keep my risk management in bay. I keep my capital. I stay out of any positions until I am ready to get in a position. I think that's kind of what I'm trying to say. Okay, but that's a funny comment, by the way. Zcash, yeah, I'm gonna go over crypto at the end though, okay? I apologize. I'm gonna go over all the Forex pairs and then indices and then jump into crypto at the end, okay? So I will eventually get to that, okay? I don't hear anything. It's you have to unmute yourself. Okay, so let's continue here. Let's continue here. I do want to talk about euro dollar. I think some of you guys are asking me about euro dollar, so I'll take a look at euro dollar. So euro dollar. Originally, I was looking for. Well, I had a short position. This is from last week, if I recall. Was looking for a head and shoulder to continue the price, but this move down is quite correctively. I end up just closing the position for less than 1% or so. I like how we pushed up the price, but we couldn't break the high. Now we just kind of almost formed, if you want me to call this more like a slanted head and shoulder, but this correction just did not continue. It's the same as dollar index, right? I saw some of you guys talking about this correction, same thing, it just did not continue lower. Instead, it becomes a reversal. And if we know euro dollar, it's going to be pretty much inverse related to dollar index, right? So if you can see, this is an inverse chart of euro dollar. It's pretty much identical to dollar index, right? So what can we expect from the price? Well, we pretty much can see this almost as a double top now. Price hit the double top area, could not continue lower. I mean, could not continue higher, I'm sorry. And it forms kind of a reversal correction, which is pushing down now. So again, there's a few ways to kind of take a look into this. Certainly you can expect a correction here. If it happens, then certainly this can continue lower. What I want to see though is kind of the same as the Kiwi dollar position. If we look at Kiwi dollar position, I mentioned I didn't really want to get involved until we passed this previous low. Very similar like euro dollar here is, for me personally, I want to see what the price will do. If it's going to continue down, great. If it breaks below this area, breaks out of this overall kind of an M style pattern, double top here, then I will look more interesting to get involved in something like this. Again, it's the same as Kiwi dollar. It's not that here, this correction, if you enter, it won't work out. Again, because it's about halfway through this overall kind of this price action structure currently. Just from my personal experience, I'd rather take a position when I know that we have complete breaking previous low, and there is a more tangible continuation once we break this low. Okay, so that's kind of how I will look to get involved in euro dollar if it develops into something like this. Okay, so any question, guys, feel free to let me know, but I'm going to continue now. Dollar CAD, so I want to talk about dollar CAD. I do reasonably have a bullish bias on dollar CAD. I'll explain this why. Of course, everyone, make sure to follow your own plan. This is kind of my plan or my way of analyzing it. So I see this is the previous low, right? This is the previous low before the price eventually just kind of correctly we move up to this high here. If we look at this previous low, this is exactly where price is at now. Okay, and this is a crucial area in my opinion because this can, not yet, but this can easily lead to a double top and then continue start reversing, right? This is the previous low that the price couldn't hit. And if you look at how this was the previous low for the price to hit and then start reversing. So I think this is a pretty good significant area to potentially look for reversals. Okay, reversal area that I will be looking at. And if you look at just overall higher time frame, this at the end of the move is quite corrective. This is to me more of like a descending channel. Even though this last little the price dropped down, just like how this price dropped down, but it was quickly pretty much reversed back up. So the key here, in my opinion, is to focus on lower time frame. Okay, lower time frame, kind of looking at what the price is developing on the lower time frame. So far, we just have this kind of the previous low, right? This is the higher time frame previous low, and we are just approaching to this previous low, but not much price action here. This is only like a small descending channel. I really wouldn't recommend start buying here. I think that's not enough development in terms of price. I need to see a lot more than just a descending channel to a higher time frame double bottom. Either something, either some sort of inverse head and shoulder, or some sort of double top, a double reason double bottom, right? Or some sort of a W style pattern, something like this. A little bit more than just a small descending channel. That's kind of what I'm trying to say. Is this is not enough for me to just start buying here, but I want to see a little bit more better structure development here that will confirm that, well, this lower time frame push down is no longer bearish, and higher time frame double bottom is start going to take an effect now. And whatever that develops here on the lower time frame is going to give us a little bit more confluence to be looking for a potential long from this bottom here. Okay, so that's kind of what I see currently. don't start buying here. I want to see more development into this area before consider anything. All right. So that is dollar CAD. All right. So I do see a lot of potential on dollar CAD as well. So don't get me wrong. I do like the overall price. I just don't think it's ready at this exact moment. I would rather see a little bit more development that's going to give me, or at least give us a little bit better confluence to be looking for a potential buy. Okay. So reading some question here. So what really blows my mind is how these trend all ties into human behavior and collective attitude. That's a very good way to put it. Trading is ultimately more to do with psychology and more to do emotion, right? So US 30, I'm gonna go over after I finish all the Forex pairs. Okay, so sorry, give me some time here. I'm gonna finish the Forex pair and I'll jump into the indices market. And there's a question here. It's a good question. Sir, I remember last time you told us you don't focus on currency correlation, but have you ever identified a buy in Kiwi dollar and a sell in euro dollar in a trading session? I think that's a good question. And this is probably to answer exactly kind of what you meant is I don't focus on currency correlation much because the exact example could happen. Like there could be a buy on Kiwi dollar and then a sell on euro dollar. And it's because the dollar itself is not the one controlling those two pairs, it's rather the Kiwi pair and the euro pair that are controlling that pair instead. So that's what I mean. It's not wrong to look at currency correlation. You can certainly expect, like if you look at Aussie Swiss versus Euro Aussie, sometimes they have resemblance, but they're not 100%. They're never going to be 100% correlated, right? So it's fine to compare some of them, but at the end, ultimately, in my opinion, focus on that individual pair is better than kind of looking at all the dollar pair. Try to like, well, let's say if you're looking for, let's say you're in your example, like if you're looking for a buy on Kiwi dollar, and then if you see a sell on euro dollar, then which one do you lead to, right? So it's best to just look at the pair individually on its own. I think that's a better analysis, at least from my personal opinion. Like if I'm looking at euro dollar CAD to be buy, whereas if you look at every other CAD pairs, like every other CAD pair is dropping, right? I think some of you guys, I saw a bunch of you guys are either in Aussie CAD or Kiwi CAD, right? So a lot of you guys are in the sell, whereas the dollar CAD, because of the dollar itself, could push up, whereas all the other CAD pairs are pushing down. That's a possibility, right? It doesn't have to follow, like all the CAD pairs doesn't have to follow necessarily with where dollar CAD is going. Okay, so that's kind of what I mean here. When did the live start, Joanne? I start at 14 o'clock GMT. So New York session, I usually do a midway market update on Wednesday, so about 14 o'clock GMT. That's usually what I do. Euro Kiwi, I will go over those. Sure. Euro Kiwi gold, I'll go over that. No problem. So so let's continue, guys. Let's continue here. There are a bunch of more pairs to go over, so I'm a little bit behind. I apologize. So let's talk about Aussie CAD here. Aussie CAD. So I think there's a bunch of you guys got in on the sell, so I think that's great. I personally did not, but I saw some of you guys' posts. You guys probably got in on something like this, and I think that's valid, right? This is a higher time frame correction. If we look at the overall price, we just continue all the way from the top here, right? If we look at this all the way top, this after this higher time frame kind of a wedge continue finishes, and we pretty much just see a very sharp jump down for the price, right? All the way from here, we've been pushing down very massively, and to me, there was a few corrections in the middle. Sorry, let me try to load here. It's not loading, but anyways, we have a massive push down from the price. So this to me is a very sharp impulsive move. There is a larger continuation correction, head and shoulder in the middle. Personally got in on this sell here, and then once this correction starts developing, I think a lot of you guys are looking for potential continuation, and that's kind of what I mentioned. I think during when I closed these two trades down, I mentioned that if the price pushes up to here and then start reverting back down, this could give us a better continuation to go down lower. So impulse correction and impulse down. So if you got in on here, good job on you. I don't think you're going to be jumping in here if you missed this one. If you missed this one, it's better to wait for a little bit more correction now because we broke this previous low now. Perfect. This is kind of what we're looking for. We still have lots of room to the previous low, right? This is the previous low. So expect there is going to be some sort of more correction here to push down. I think that's going to be reasonable to expect. It's just that I personally not likely to enter something like this. I think the entry or the correct entry was somewhere like here. If you miss this one, then even though if it developed correction here, it's a little bit more dangerous now because um, as the price pushed down more, the sell becomes more dangerous because you're getting reached to this previous low, and we don't know if it's going to break the previous low and continue, or we're just gonna start bouncing off there and then start reversing back up. We don't know that yet, right? So the best entry was what I pointed out there, and once it starts dropping down, could probably put it to break even and then just let its trade run, see if this is going to continue push down, and then um, take it from there because this is a very good area to watch out for if the price is going to push out any further and then still correct to go down, or is it going to start reversing back up? Right, this is the same area that we watched out last time as well. When they hit this area, when the price start consolidating here on the lower time frame, I mentioned just be careful here because while the price is correcting here, it's going to move up and down quite a bit, right? So entering here in the correction, at least before the correction finishes, not as a good entry. But once the correction finishes, like something like this, I think it's a better entry than while the price is still correcting here. Okay. You took let's go to Kiwi Cat. Okay, good. On what time frame do you manage a trade on like Aussie Cat or Kiwi Cat? I think you should manage it on the lower time frame, like exactly where you enter. So you might have entered maybe this is Aussie Cat. We'll talk about Kiwi Cat, but you think they're pretty much the same, right? This is an Aussie Cat correction after breakout. I think this is the same correction after breakout, or maybe you enter higher. I'm not sure. But I think you should manage it on the lower time frame, like this is a 15-minute chart. So if you enter something like this, your stop should already be at break even or maybe even 1%, depending on how your risk management is. And just manage it accordingly. If it's going to consolidate correct like this, let the trade run. If it's going to start having reversals, then you gotta watch out to see if you're going to take a little bit more profit or if you're going to move down the stop loss a little bit lower. I think that's up to everyone's risk management and stop loss management, of course. So Aussie Cat. So like I said, just be careful here. If you haven't entered Aussie Cat, I personally won't enter here even if it gives the correction. At least I think the entry already passed. Okay. So let's move on to Aussie Yen. Pound Kiwi, I will go over that. So all the crypto guys, I'm gonna go over at the end. Okay, I'm gonna finish the Forex indices. I'll jump into crypto at the end. Okay, so I apologize, but I got lots of pairs to go over. But I will go over crypto later on. So if you couldn't watch the whole stream, welcome to rewatch it on my YouTube or TradingView. All my streams are safe forever as well. Okay. Okay, so let's talk about Aussie Yen. I talked about Aussie Yen beginning of the week. I think this is a pretty clear setup for me from my personal view. I like how we have a double top here. Let me just get my pen. I like how we have like a double top here. It's pretty clear double top. After a really sharp impulsive move, this is more of a channel correction. We correct all the way up to this double top. and there is lower time frame descending channel and then impulse down, and I was looking for a continuation correction. So I think some of you guys are still in Aussie yen. I personally took a loss here and I got in on Kiwi yen, but I mentioned about Kiwi yen down here as well. So they're very similar price action. They're pretty much identical in my opinion. So it's about choosing either one of them. I think they're pretty much fine. I got entry here. I'll explain quickly here. I'll update this in my weekly trade recap later in the week, but I will talk about it really quickly. Is that I enter here when price breakdown after this impulsive move. This is the correction I saw at the time. So I will put in an entry order here, put the stop loss above the high, and then just let the price tag me in. And as the price continue move up and down and up, and then just pretty much barely take me out here. I don't even think that actually it's about like few point something few pips, but I got take out here, and then pretty much it forms like a almost like a continuation correction, and then just pushes down. But even if I didn't get pushed out, I mean, even if I didn't get tagged out here, when I see this move push down past this kind of hit this previous low, and I hit probably about 1.3% or 1.5, I would have put it to break even anyways, just of how my risk management is. So I would have taken a break even anyway, so I wouldn't have hold through this whole bearish move that follows afterwards. So that's again just perspective on things, right? Um, Sometimes when I coach a few students, the question is always like, how do I deal with losses? And I always ask, well, what is your loss? Is it losses something like this, that it just gets wiped out for a few pips, or is it some other losses that are more due to your own emotional decisions? Something like this that gets stopped out for me personally, I don't get stressed about it. I don't worry about it too much, and because it's not something you can control, right? When I enter, when I set the stop loss, how I manage it, I do it exactly how I would plan to do. So something like this, I don't really think too much about it, because afterwards I would have moved it to break even anyways, and I would have get stop out. I wouldn't have hold the trade to this point anyways. Okay, so it's not. So don't be result oriented. I think that's the word I'm trying to say. Result oriented. You can't see the result afterwards and be like, oh, I should have entered from here, or I should have do this or that. No, you couldn't have predicted of how that would have happened. Okay, so try to change your perspective in trading. This will help you a lot easier to mitigate these kind of things. I took a loss here. That's perfectly fine, but I was able to get in on Kiwi Yen after. So it's the same play out, it's the same move, and I'm happy either way. Okay. So what I see on Aussie Yen now is we're pushing down now, right? We talk about this is pushing down now. So this almost looks like a kind of a pennant or expanding kind of correction, but this to me is a continuation. So I could expect this to continue lower. Um, if you're not in this, this is somewhat before halfway. I think this is still reasonably to be a correction that could be an entry as long as that fits your plan. Ultimately, we're looking at this as an overall higher time frame, right? So if this move pushes down, breaking out, then certainly there is more room to be able to get in on the sell as well. Okay, so I do like, or I do favor Aussie yen, Kiwi yen, and I think there's Euro yen as well. I'll talk about, but most of these yen pairs are looking pretty clean. I would look to hold through the yen if they do play out, and we'll see how it goes. Okay, so any question on these, or at least on Aussie yen, or at least a couple of yen I'm gonna go over as well. Took a reduced loss on Aussie yen yesterday. Let's go. Yeah. I mean, at least the price wasn't as impulsive as we want to see. Like after this correction and this push down, at the time I really expect this to continue push down lower. So this really sharp move up, I think this was during yesterday's New York session, if I'm correct here. I'm just looking at this. Yeah. So this is during yesterday's New York session. This actually kind of caught me off guard, but I was out of the trade anyways. But I was just like, I was looking at this reversal, and I was like, oh well, this is a sharp move down and a sharp move up. So can that be the overall bearish move is no longer valid? But it kind of just pushed up and then started just kind of forming a little bit more consolidation, and then eventually pushed down more. Okay, but as long as we manage it accordingly, there's not much else we can do, guys. Don't drown about it too much. that's kind of what I mentioned earlier. Don't be result oriented. If this move pushes up and then they continue push higher, then we wouldn't be saying that we should be holding the trade, right? So just manage it accordingly, manage it to your plan, right? Always have a plan on how you plan to manage it. Follow it accordingly. I think that's kind of how I always try to tell everyone is there's no right and wrong of doing things. As long as you had a plan and you follow the plan accordingly and you don't make emotional decisions. I think that's probably the best part of how trading we can be consistent in this kind of area here. Okay, so have you ever stopped out a trade and got in right back again because your analysis seems right? Um, there's a question like on this in my Telegram group, in my other group. I wouldn't. I think I'm gonna use this as an example. I apologize. I'm not using you as a bad example, but I'm just pointing out this is um, someone mentioned about he entered a trade somewhere here, and then he got stopped out, and then he re-entered back in again. In my opinion, if a trade that you enter got stopped out, and you enter right back into another trade without further development, without further price action, without further confluences that's added, I wouldn't recommend doing that. Okay, I wouldn't recommend doing that because a lot of times, in my opinion, we're just entering back in because of FOMO, right? Because of fear of missing out. We took a loss as example. So if someone entered a trade, they take a loss, and then because we forecast the higher time frame move so much that after taking a loss, naturally we're like, well, we want to enter back in because this is probably because due to news. This is during NFP, of course, by the way. Um, enter right back after the news has somewhat died down, but then eventually gets taken out. There is no additional development. If you let's say if you get taken out, but if there's no additional development of the price and any further confirmation, then I wouldn't enter back in. Okay, that's if you ask me directly, that's kind of how I see it. I wouldn't enter back in. Okay, so euro yen. So let's talk about euro yen here. Originally it was looking pretty clean. I think I was up talking about this in the weekly outlook. This is more looking as more almost looking like a correction to go up now. So be careful here. It's not as clean as I would say to Aussie yen or Kiwi yen, which I'll go over Kiwi yen after. But I like how this is still kind of a double top area. This could lead into something later on in the day or the next couple of days. We don't know that yet. I like how this ascending channel is still very corrective throughout the time. Like we continue to move up in this ascending channel. And if you watch my parallel channel video that I made yesterday or 2 days ago, I forgot. There's different ways of trading a parallel channel, something like this, a parallel ascending channel. People can be buying from the bottom and then selling from the top. And not sure all sounds valid as long as that's their strategy, but I point out in the video is that in my opinion, the best way to capitalize on a potential channel is when the channel completes, right? When the channel completes. So when we actually see a potential break out of that channel and continuation, in my opinion, this is going to be a way better selling opportunity, or at least the way to capitalize on these type of price action than to while be buying and selling well within. Okay, that's just my opinion, of course. Okay, so don't judge me on that. But just from experience, I personally would be more inclined when I want to get involved when the channel completes, when it breaks out, and then continuation down. Whereas while it's still in the channel, sometimes the buy and the sell is short-lived, right? Because it's still in a correction. So you buy here, you sell here, you buy here, you sell here. It's as long as you can take profit, I think that's totally fine. But a lot of times is people cannot take profit, meaning like they will be selling here. They think, okay, well, this selling here down is good, and if it breaks out, good. But if it doesn't break out, then you need to look to take profit, right? Otherwise, this is just gonna start climb up, start reversing back up, and just going to hit your stop loss very soon. Okay, so Going back to what I see now is I'm not really interested while the price is kind of in this area, kind of just consolidating. I would prefer to see a little bit more development to see well, is this is going to eventually push down. If it is, I will be more happy to see if it's going to fall in correction. And then if it eventually breaks out here, that's going to be a better entry, like some sort of head and shoulder pattern, of course, some sort of bearish price action, some sort of reversal price action here. That give us a better confluence that this ascending channel is potentially going to be over. And if we break out of that ascending channel, I think a correction here would be very ideal to enter this potential bearish run or bearish reversal on a higher time frame, right? This move up to me is quite sharp. Okay, we're approaching this top, or this is pretty much that previous double top area before the price moved down anyways. So I do think this is a very good area to potentially be prepared for a sell opportunity here. But it's not ready yet. Okay, it's not ready like how Aussie yen and Kiwi yen are ready. But I will look for a potential setup in the near future. Okay. Pound yen, sure. Pound yen, euro, pound, sure. Good point on the channel, Jazer Bay, nice to see you, buddy. Joe Fitz, technical analysis is best probably. Yeah, I would. I mean, I wouldn't argue. You know, everyone trades differently. People trade fundamental. People trade technical. Everyone trades differently, right? I think it's as long as you find something that fits your perspective in trading. There's a lot of people come and go in trading, and it's usually because they will get in trading and then they will learn some sort of analysis, whether it's fundamental or technical, or even if they learn technical analysis, there's so many technical analysis, right? If you go on like TradingView, like how many things you're gonna see on there. Everybody trades differently, right? You look at everybody's chart, everybody's trades differently on TradingView. They'll post all sorts of different charts. So everyone trades differently, right? So it's about finding what works for you and what makes sense for you, right? So some people jump strategy from strategy because they don't find what they're looking for or they don't agree with that particular methods, and I think that's fine, right? As long as you need to find out what works for you, what works for your expectation, right? Expectation is really important. Like some people expect they should make a bunch of money, a huge percentage profit, and some people prefer to be more stable or more risk managed kind of return. And again, nothing wrong with that either, right? So pound yen. I would want to see pound yen something like this. Okay, let's just say from the higher time frame here. This is moving up, but I can potentially see something like this. I didn't draw it out yet, but I want to point out something like this. We could potentially get a correction here, which is what I really want to see, because this gives us a better potential selling opportunities from the top here. Okay, so let me just put this in. So let's look at the overall price right now. There is a few selling opportunities. If you guys been following me, we got into a few of these pound yen sales. How this price moving up, this is probably the most important area to watch out for, is while we are in this potential kind of ascending channel formation, this latest part is very, very, very crucial. If this moves up correctively in another ascending channel, I definitely see this move dropping down is very, very profitable or very higher probability that I will likely to get involved on. I like how we are corrective while we push up, right? So this bullish push up, all this price action here is rather corrective, rather it's not impulsive or it's not continuation to go higher. Rather, this is more in a consolidation kind of stance. And if we can, this last bit of the price, if we can get similar price action like this or similar price action like this, that would be really nice, because that pretty much give us that this ascending channel is potentially going to complete, right? We're getting a few swing highs and few swing lows. And this last bit of the price, how the price move up to this top of the ascending channel, is rather important. If it's another corrective move up to the top, I definitely will be looking for some sort of bearish reversal and then first potential correction to get in, something like this. And I'll look to see if the price will continue breaking out and continue lower. I didn't have this on watch list because it still need to develop, right? It still need to form into something I want to see, and this may take at least maybe 1 or 2 days to complete. And I will be looking to this in the next couple of days, but I do like the overall structure. I do like the overall price as well. Okay, so that's what I see on pound yen. This last bit of the area, just be careful. I'm not going to just randomly short here because I see some bearish candlesticks. Okay, don't make that kind of mistake. We want to see structures. We want to see price action. We want to see at least there's going to be some sort of bearish price action. This can be a head and shoulder. This can be a ascending channel. This can be a double top M style pattern. Whatever it's going to develop here, that's going to give you a better confirmation here to be looking for the sell rather than just some bearish candle here, right? So that's pound yen. And last one I'll go over is Kiwi yen. So Kiwi yen, I got in on Kiwi yen. I mentioned this is very similar price action like Aussie yen, right? If we look at the overall price, this is that double top on where the price has been. I like the impulsive move to the downside. I like this kind of higher time frame ascending channel. And if we look closely, this part of the price is, this is the previous high price, pretty much make a kind of a rising wedge back to this previous high. And then a M cell pattern, a rising wedge, a mini double top. So all these bearish confluence that adds to my confirmation at least to be looking for. So excuse me, guys. So I was looking to see if I was going to enter here or the Aussie yen position. So I chose Aussie yen instead, and then Aussie yen got taken out. But if I look at Kiwi yen, honestly, if I was to looking at Kiwi yen and enter here, my stop loss would be at the high here. Honestly, I would be taken out anyway. So same idea here, but I like the entry here after we impulse, correct, and we impulse again and correct, right? This is when another kind of a flag correction that happens. So I'm fine entering these while I understand the overall higher time frame, and we're a little bit of still have more than half of the room to the lows of the correction, and I still favor the overall higher time frame correction or the price action that we can potentially break out and then continue to the low here. So I'm fine with the risk. I'm fine with the entry such as so, and I actually chose a wider stop loss than I usually would have. I normally would have just put the stop loss above this high, so probably 25 pips or so, but this one is 30 pips, and impulse correct, and now we potentially are going to break out of this kind of expanding structure. It's very similar like Aussie yen, right? Very similar kind of price action. So just to see if price will continue lower and then just continue push down. So either way, if you're in Aussie yen or you're in Kiwi yen, because I saw a bunch of you guys in Kiwi yen or Aussie yen, so I think it's looking great. I think it's fine to hold them. Just understand your risks or how you plan to mitigate your risks. Potentially is to watch out to see what price will do when we reach this low. And if we can break out of that low and continuation, I think that's going to be a very good scale in opportunity if that fits your plan to add in the scale in opportunity trade. Because once we break out this higher time frame ascending channel, there's quite a bit of room to the downside here. Okay, there's not likely to go in one go, but we can expect pullback correction, or so eventually reach the low. That's kind of how I would see this, and that's how I would play this if we break out here. I'm definitely looking for a scale-in opportunity here to add into my sell. Okay. Gold I will go over later when I finish the Forex pairs. Euro dollar, I kind of went over that already, so it's gonna be same thing as Kiwi dollar. Personally, I'm not interested to be buying or selling here. I want to see what price will do once it breaks this low, and something like this I would be more inclined to get involved on. But while the price is still in this kind of an M style kind of price action, then I'm not looking to enter while it's halfway here. Swiss yen, I'm not really seeing much on Swiss yen because I want to see if price can actually reach this previous high here. This overall kind of an ascending channel that I see. I want a price to actually reach this previous high here before looking for a potential sell. I think Euro Yen ultimately looks a little bit better because it actually is at that top now, and there is lower time frame kind of price action, potential lower time frame M style structure. Um, so I would choose Euro Yen over. I would choose Euro Yen over Swiss Yen. I don't like Swiss Yen because this push up from the price is still looking pretty bullish. Okay, still look pretty bullishly. Um, I saw some of you guys posting this kind of structure and a potential sell like this. I don't think it's wrong, but I think it's you're kind of entering at the middle of nowhere. Like there is no previous high, or there's no previous high at least where I'm seeing. There's no stronger reversal bearish price action because this is just a strong bullish push up. There's nothing here yet to indicate that there's going to be a bearish reversal yet. What I would see more is if this bearish will continue push down actually very strong, and then a bearish kind of continuation. This head and shoulder would be more significant, in my opinion, than what I'm seeing here. That's just kind of how I see it. And overall, um, because this bullish move is so strong still, you want a little bit more bearish price action development so that you can have a little bit better confluence to look for a sell, right? So, but that's what I mean by filtering the trades, right? All these yen pairs are looking good, and you just have to choose a few of them. You can't choose all of them, then you're gonna have to filter whatever it's the better ones for you to sell, okay? So, okay, so that wraps up all the yen pairs. Let's continue, okay? Euro pound, yeah, I'll go over Euro pound. So let's talk about a few Euro pairs now. Sometimes you guys are talking about Euro pairs. Euro Aussie, this is always has been my same bias ever since when we start foreign correcting. We'll talk about Euro Kiwi as well. I think a lot of you guys are talking about Euro Kiwi. I'll give my same bias approach on them as well. So Euro Aussie, to me, um, we finally seeing a little bit more bullish bias, at least from my eye. Like this is still a descending channel correction push down. We have impulse correction, impulse. There was a few buy opportunity, if I recall, like we got in, but they didn't really live up to the hype, or at least the way how I would want to see its continuation to the top. We didn't see that. We just kind of fall into this kind of a bigger consolidation, right? This starts in like almost end of March if you think about it. All this is just consolidation if you think about it. Um, Preferably now is that we're finally getting a little bit more structure. We generally that if this bullish push out by lower time frame correction, I definitely see this consolidation period can be over, and then we can certainly expect more bullish price action. And this is going to be very similar like Euro Kiwi. So I'll jump into Euro Kiwi now, and a lot of you guys are asking about Euro Kiwi also. Um, how many people told me that they're selling here, right? There's so many people keep showing that they're selling here, selling here, selling here, and every time they sell, the price just continue to correct. They're not going anywhere, right? And even this bearish push down from the price, and I keep telling everyone, it's like, well, if you're looking for sell, if this breaks out, you need to wait for a continuation correction to sell. Otherwise, you're just gonna get taken and then reverse. It's just pretty much exactly what happened. So the confirmation, guys, in order for you to mitigate these kind of entries is if you're looking for sell, look for a continuation afterwards, right? I've been talking about this pretty much every stream is that if you have a sell bias, don't just blindly enter because it breaks out of some trend lines that you put in. Make sure you understand how price works. in order for it to continue, it has to form some sort of continuation. It may not form right away here. It may drop down a little bit more and form here. But the point is, this is going to be the last confirmation for you to enter. Whereas to me, nothing happened here. So it just started reversing back up. So again, that's kind of how the market traps traders, or at least impatient traders, the way how I see it. They enter here because, again, FOMO, right? They think this is going to take off without them if they don't enter now. But if they've done enough backtesting, you will know that price will never just drop in a free line, right? It will always kind of push down, correct, push down, correct, push down. On the lower time frame, you're always going to spot these corrections. Maybe on the higher time frame, it's just going to be one big candle, yes. But on the lower time frame, there's always going to be corrections throughout the way, okay? So I personally see this as more of a bullish price action. I've been kind of saying is in the stream since pretty much since like April as well, is that this bullish push up, correct, bullish push up, and this to me is like a more of a correction, like a sideways flag, or you want to call this as a channel. We finally see a few swing highs and a few swing lows, and this is pretty much looking like it's going to push out of now. So same thing, same approach. If you look at my stream for the whole last month, my plan is the same. I would only look to get involved if this pushes out of this overall structure and lower time frame continuation. That is something that I will get involved. Until something like this happens, I'm really not interested to be trading while in this area, because again, I always talk about don't get stuck in the consolidation phase, which is what the price is in right now. This can easily hit here and come down and just continuation for a long time, like while it's consolidation. So don't get trapped here, right? This is where traders lose money, when you enter trades while the price is consolidating. Try to enter trades when the impulsive move is happening. Your trade is going to be a higher probability setups where it's likely to reach a potential target that you're looking for. Whereas entering here is in a consolidation phase and your trade is just moving up and down a lot. It's not going anywhere. But what it's doing is causing a lot of emotional stress on you, because you're looking at your broker every minute or every hour. You just see profit come, profit go, profit come, profit goes. That creates a very emotional drama on yourself. Okay, so Euro Kiwi, that's kind of how I would play it or how I would see it. I'm only looking for a buy opportunity if it breaks out, and then lower time frame continuation. Okay, I really don't see the sell here. After this push down was not followed by a continuation, then that's already a sign from the market that this is a double bottom here. This becomes more of a structure now, great. And we break out of this descending channel. So impulse, correction, impulse, correction. We're looking for another impulsive move to continue upwards. All right. So let's continue. Last one to go over Euro Swiss. Yeah, I am in Euro Swiss. I think Euro Swiss is clean. We talk about Euro Swiss pretty much since last week. I like the higher time frame impulsive move. I like the higher time frame kind of a channel or flag correction. There is this previous low. We price moved down in this descending channel. So everything here is looking pretty clean. I usually don't trade Euro Kiwi, but this is pretty clean price action that I just can't miss, right? You see how the price moved down in this kind of a descending channel, and then eventually had this strong impulse breaking up. So looking for continuation is totally valid here to look for a price to the top, and then if it breaks above, then look for further opportunity to go in. Okay, so we're just right at this beginning. Look at the overall price here. We're just at the bottom of this overall flag or channel. There's so much room to the upside that it's going to be pretty decent reward if it takes off, right? So all it is now is entering at the right time, right? So I waited for this descending channel to complete. So this descending channel, once it completes, we have this clear bullish impulse on the lower time frame. Okay, this to me is a strong bullish impulse, so I opt in with entry order as I always do. So I always do stop entry orders. So let the price come to you. When this price starts forming this kind of a correction on the lower time frame, I just set an entry order and I set a reasonable stop loss. Usually I would set it a little bit less, but In this case, I'm fine with the 25 pip stop loss. I don't think 20 and 25 is going to matter too much in this kind of scenario, anyways. And I'm happy to give the price a little bit more room to correct if that's going to happen. So price tag me in and pretty much just consolidated for a while, right? It's just going to consolidate here a little bit longer. But I do like the consolidation is rather sideways consolidation rather than kind of a steeper correction like so. So I like how this potentially is forming a continuation. So this can still be an entry, guys. If you're not in Euro Kiwi, I personally think this is still can be an entry if you haven't gotten yet. But of course, follow your plan, manage it accordingly, right? If you have a plan or if you have a strategy to be looking for an entry like this, and if that fits your trading plan, then go ahead and execute it, okay? So that's Euro Kiwi, Euro Pound. I personally not see too much on Euro Pound, at least where I'm seeing currently. Originally, I was looking to see if this kind of a descending channel or is going to impulse out and then continuation to the upside. But this becomes almost like a reversal correction, which just pushed down the price. So personally, I'm not seeing too much on Euro Pound, okay? Not really seeing the buy or the sell, at least from where I'm seeing. This is still a little bit more consolidation here. It's to me, it's not too clear what the price will do. This could move down to here and then just continue downwards, or this can be a reversal. So I think this is still a corrective phase that the price is doing. I'll be on the sideline for this one here. Okay. Yeah, so that's Euro Q pound. Sorry, that's what I'm trying to say. I personally see this a little bit more corrective, so I want to see a little bit more development here, at least in this area, to give us a little bit more development, so we can at least analyze it a little bit better. So let's continue Kiwi CAD. So same thing with Aussie CAD, right? So a bunch of you guys got in on Kiwi CAD, I think, when I saw the Telegram. So I'm not sure if you got in on here or if you got in on here. I think it's all fine. Kiwi CAD ultimately is pushing down massively, and I do agree there could be more opportunity later down the road. We pushed down quite a bit, and I think we talk about this a few times, is that all these middle corrections are very valid to enter. And when you start seeing this deeper pullback, it's not that the price is reversing, because you just have to see it from a price action point of view. This impulsive move is so sharp that it would drop a couple hundred pips. It's just naturally for the price to correct, right? It's naturally for the price to pull back or correct before it starts resuming. You can see that it forms a pretty much textbook head and shoulder pattern, and then we just start dropping down from this textbook head and shoulder pattern after, and again another continuation correction. The only thing downside for me is because this continuation correction is right before this low, right above this low, sorry, instead of breaking through it. Like, I would prefer this correction is a little bit lower than this previous low. Like, if this was a little bit lower, I think it would be much better. But in this case, the same idea, I guess. Impulse, correction, impulse. It's just that I personally was looking to see if it can actually correct up below this low rather than above it. But now that the correction completes, it breaks down lower. The entry is there. So some of you guys who got in, good job on your part. The management's the same as Aussie CAD, right? You should probably move it to break even or even a little bit of profit, and you'll monitor to see if this price is going to correct more or is it going to start reversing. I personally don't see the reversal because we've broken this low now, which is great. So it's likely to correct, but I don't think it's going to reverse back up now. And if we look at where the price is at, there is a few opportunity here, or at least a few target. This is the previous low, right? So there's a potential previous low as a potential target. This is the next low, which should be your main target to go down, because this is the beginning of this ascending channel correction. And if we look at the overall price, this ascending channel leads to this sharp impulse, and then this next impulse can likely push the price lower. All right, so that is Kiwi Cat, guys. So that is pretty much all the currency pair, right? I think I talked about all the currency pair already. So Euro Aussie, I went over that earlier. So my plan on Euro Aussie is simple. I'm just going to see what will happen in this overall correction. I'm not going to get involved until if this pushes up above the high and then continuation to upside, like breaking above this high and lower time frame continuation. I like the overall descending structure. I like the overall this period of consolidation could be over if this correction completes and then we break out followed by correction. I think that's a better entry than entering while it's in the consolidation phase here. Okay. What's my opinion on dollar ZAR? Let's take a look. I don't usually trade these kind of, I would say more on the exotic side, but certainly there's opportunity everywhere. So originally I was looking at this to be a continuation, which it kind of did form continuation. Like there is an impulsive move to the downside, there is a correction, and we push down lower. And then if we drop down to even a lower time frame, it looks like there's going to be more continuation. So we already impulsed out of that larger continuation. Now there is a smaller lower time frame. It's just that this is at the previous low already. Okay, this is the previous low. This is also the previous low before the huge up move, right? This is a double bottom and then the move takes off. So I would be not inclined to enter something like this because we're getting so close to this low already. I personally is more inclined to get in while we have enough room to the downside, which is not in this case here. Okay, so that's why I wouldn't, at least for me personally, I'm not looking to enter. You're pretty much sitting at this low. Again, it's not this won't play off, right? It's a probability in trading. It's just that over the years, as we do more back testing, as we do more chart work, I learned to avoid these type of entries because there's going to be higher probability setups. There's going to be better setups out there than to enter a potential sell that is reaching to the previous higher time frame lows. Okay, so that's kind of how I see it. Pound dollar, yeah, I'm gonna wrap it up with pound dollar for currency here. I personally is same thing as euro dollar. I mean, I was looking for price to correctly move up to this high here. That's kind of how I would try to get involved. Like I do see, I do still kind of want to look for a potential sell opportunities if we look at the higher time frame. This is a previous high. A price doesn't have to reach the previous high. I think I talk about this in the weekly outlook. Like I could see this play out a few scenario, like maybe a slanted kind of M style pattern reaching the high and then drop, or just making an M style pattern to the previous high here and then still drop. It doesn't necessarily have to hit this previous high, but this was the previous high. If you look closely, this was a double top. This was an M style pattern. The M style pattern had an ascending channel, and then this had that massive impulse down. So same thing could happen here, right? Could happen. It's about how we see this. So this could be forming an M style pattern on its own, and similarly, similar price action, similar area as well, right? We have this ascending channel moving up as well. So literally, a very identical price action than compared to what has happened during 2018. So we can certainly expect something like this to happen, but I do want to see a little bit more on the lower time frame. I don't see I think you mentioned head and shoulders. Sure, there is definitely a head and shoulder here, but I want to see again just more development. I don't think this is enough to just start reversing back down. I prefer to see a little bit more development here. Okay, so that's pound dollar. Last one to wrap it up. Someone mentioned about cat yen. Um, I was looking at cat yen. Sorry guys, I'm like getting my mouth pretty dry. So I was looking at cat yen. I was looking at to see this expanding structure. I think we talked about this last week. Originally was to see if this move will have some sort of bearish reversal to push down and then continue. So that did not happen, but price started continue moving up. But to me, this is somewhat very corrective. This is more almost like a ascending channel. Even though it's breaking above this kind of expanding structure, but it's how the price is moving. It's not moving up impulsively, and it's not forming continuation correction either. To me, this is ascending channel, so we know that it could lead into a potential reversal, right? So how I would play this is, if we look at the higher time frame, this is also that previous high where the price is currently sitting at now. So um, I'm not really interested if all these bearish candle, whatever that's going to form. We need to see a very sharp impulse down, followed by correction to go. I think that's always going to be my way of executing or potentially getting involved in something like this, because this just shows you that this expanding structure pushing up is not followed by continuation. Instead, it's followed by reversal. And once the reversal correction completes, maybe it will correct a little bit longer. We don't know. But once it finishes correcting, once it has that first push down from the price and continuation correction, that just signified that that double top on the higher time frame is working. The expanding structure eventually leads into a reversal, and this ascending channel is potentially the first sign of a reversal correction. So we'll see how that plays out, right? It's not ready yet or anything like that, but we'll see how it completes, or at least how it develops in the next few hours or a couple of days. All right. So that is cat yen, guys. So that's pretty much all the Forex pair. It took quite a bit longer than I thought I would, but let's start jumping into other markets now. We have a lot more to go over still. So let's take a look at a couple things. So let's look at the indices now. So there's a few indices that you guys are talking about. So let's take a look at a few. Let's start with NASDAQ first. So NASDAQ, some of you guys asked me to update NASDAQ in the Telegram. I mentioned about there's a few possibility. First, I mentioned about that we could be expecting a bigger kind of correction, something like this. It could be a variation of this or variation of this, but because we broke this previous low, I like the impulsive break to the downside. We can certainly expect some sort of continuation here to continue the price down lower. Okay, so wait to see if that's going to develop here. I would prefer a little bit more development in terms of price than this. Kind of, I want to see a little bit more development here rather than, I don't think this is enough, at least from my personal view. If we look at S&P 500, I think this could be a better opportunity. I actually prefer S&P better than the other indices right now, because this is multi-time frame analysis to its best. We know that there is some sort of expanding kind of structure here, or ascending kind of structure. It's getting bigger and bigger. At the top of the ascending kind of expanding structure, there is more structure, more price action here, right? The difference here is if this move pushes up and just pushes down, followed by impulsive move, there's no structure here. Whereas this move pushes up and start falling into this kind of ascending or horizontal structure where it's a little bit more structure developing. So we have structures and patterns within the structures and pattern, right? So multi-time frame analysis. And from the top here, head and shoulder, we push down massively. But I personally, at least for my plan, I'm really not interested to enter here. But once we break out, which is what's happening now, once we break out of this potential structure here, if we form a lower time frame continuation here, that would be a much better entry. At least that fits my plan. I'll be looking for something like this to look for the sell down to the previous low. I think this is perfect. Enough risk reward, enough room, an entry that will fit my criteria. So a correction after breakout. So all left now is just to see what the price will do. I think this is already a correction. You can really argue that there is, but I prefer to see a little bit more breakdown past this previous low, and the correction here probably would be more ideal than the current one right now that I see. Okay, so Watch out for this one. I think there is going to be a lot of room to the downside. Let me just fix this. There's a lot of room to the downside. Okay, so don't miss one of these indices. I do think they can play out very good. Dow Jones, similarly, we have this kind of ascending channel, right? So ascending channel, correctly move up, and then you see how the price always moves up and then have a sharp impulse down. So same idea here, wait for some sort of consolidation, wait for some sort of lower time frame continuation. I'll be looking for a potential sell. Always look back at the price if you're not sure, right? If you look at what the price always does in the past, ascending channel here, ascending channel here, right? Price always, at least for the indices, they tend to move this kind of fashion over and over again, right? I'm pointing out all the ascending channels that you have seen in the past. They always lead to that impulsive move to the downside. And same thing could happen here as well, okay? So don't miss one of these indices if they play out. If they do develop into the correct price action, there is a head and shoulder here as well. So if this leads into a right shoulder, this certainly can be a sell opportunity also. Okay, so that's kind of my take on all the indices. I do like S&P probably the most. Um, but again, risk management, I'm only going to take one of these. Okay, so just make sure you understand that if they play out, they likely to all play out. If they don't play out, they likely to all reverse. So don't put yourself in a position where you're gonna take a multiple of these trades and all take up in a loss, right? So think about sustainability and consistency. You're not here to make a bunch of money in like in one trade. You're here to be consistent so you can grow your account, you can compound your account, and then you can be trading for the next X amount of years as long as you wish to do so. Okay. So any question on the indices? If not, I'm gonna go into gold and then I'm going to crypto after. Okay. Love your technical analysis. Great. Happy to hear that. Thank you. All right, so let's go to gold. Some of you guys are asking about gold. So there's a few kind of scenarios that I can see. I can see gold playing out. The first scenario is the more simple one, right? We see gold already push up from the bottom here, right? This is the previous gold. We form a double bottom first, and then just kind of push up, correct, push off again, correct, and then now it's looking like there's another correction here. So the logical kind of forecast would be wait for price to break out of this higher time frame kind of channel or correction or flag correction, and then lower time frame continuation. That's the more simple ones or more logical ones. I think that's a very straightforward kind of forecast. That looking for something like this would be ideal if it breaks out, if it forms correction, right? Whereas there's a different way of seeing this is that because we're approaching to this high of this correction now, and we notice this whole time this correction has not complete, right? This is still a higher time frame, kind of a descending channel or a bullish flag that the price is in. We can certainly just push up here and then exactly has happened in the past, right? This can be in some sort of ascending channel in this formation, similar like this, and then eventually just reverse back down for one more time. Okay, so that can happen as well. So don't discount the fact that just because we're seeing bullish price action, just because we're approaching to the top now, it doesn't guarantee this is going to take off. Okay, so just be careful when you're trading gold. I always hear people trade gold and lost a bunch of money, whether or not it's because their risk management or how they enter, etc. Um, because this higher time frame correction, this channel or flag, they can go on indefinitely. Remember, I always talk about a correction can go on forever. Like they can literally just continue correct for the next few months before it takes off, and there's nothing wrong from a price action point of view. All we're doing is just this massive impulse is taking months or years to correct before the next up move. So it doesn't need to be this is going to be the time that breaks out. So watch out for what the price was going to do here. If it's just bullish breakout, great, and we follow by a continuation, great. We're looking for bullish bias. But if it doesn't, it just breaks out and then reverts back down, then expect similar price action here and then start pushing the price all the way back to the low. That's certainly a possibility. And once it hit the low of this correction here, then we'll be start looking for a buy again, right? Because we're buying in from the bottom of the correction. Just similarly from like this, we're getting in from the bottom, and as there's better risk reward for getting in from the bottom rather than getting in from midway through. Because if you're getting in from midway through like this, you can easily hit this and start reversing back down, and you don't have enough room to move it to break even or whatever. So be careful on that, okay? So what I see here, like I said, lower time frame wise, I really don't see an entry or anything. I really don't plan to enter anything like this either because it's so close to the top of that higher time frame correction already, okay? So that's kind of how I would play it. Look for a breakout if that happens, and look for a continuation, and that will be a good buy setup that I will look to get involved. If that doesn't happen, then I expect move to kind of move down all the way back to the low, or at least some sort of bearish price action, or maybe a bigger bearish kind of push down before the next up move. But whatever it is, if it doesn't break out, I'm not interested to buy. Definitely not be buying here. Okay. So any questions on this one, guys, before I move on to crypto to wrap it up? Lots of short right now in the market. Yeah, sometimes that happens, right? It does. A market doesn't always have to go up, right? It can go, it can go down, it can go sideways, it can do whatever it wants, right? The always thing I tell everyone is, um, make peace with the market. What I mean by peace is like make peace with yourself and the market. The market doesn't need to follow your analysis. It doesn't need to follow my analysis. It doesn't need to follow anybody's analysis for that fact, right? It could just move up, move down, move sideways. It doesn't need to follow anything technical. It doesn't need to follow anything fundamental. The market can do whatever it wants to do. So as long as you acknowledge that, as long as you understand trading is all about probability, you enter trades based on a probable setup, you know there's a potential, even if you enter at the best possible strategy or setups that you can still take a loss. As long as you understand that, trading is actually a lot easier than what it seems. What a lot of traders cannot grasp is they usually get upset because they enter a trade that fits perfectly into their plan, perfectly into their strategy, and then they took a loss and they get offended by that. But that's probability, guys. You cannot be 100% on your strategy or your strike rate. It's just not possible, right? If you're 100% strike rate or strategy, then why bother with risk management, right? You just go take out a loan from the bank, right? Take out $500,000 and just go all in on one trade, and you'll double it, triple it in no time. But that's not how it works in trading, right? So start making understanding that perspective. It will really help you to be. It will help you to make trading a lot easier on an emotional level, right? Because I will take losses, and I'm perfectly fine accepting I took a loss because I know it's all probability. But as long as I follow my plan to enter, to manage, to exit or take profit or whatever, and I don't get too emotional on the outcome of the trades. I don't get an outcome. I don't get emotional because the outcome of the trade is not something I can control. Right? Would you agree that we can simply not control where the market is doing? So same idea, we cannot control our result, but what we can control is our management, our entry, our stop loss, our take profit, our risk management, our trading psychology. Those are the things that we can control. So we focus more time and effort on those areas. The result, how the market will move, is it going to follow your plan, whatever, that is something you cannot control. So don't try to get upset about it. I think that's what I'm trying to say. All right. Am I using divergent indicator? I don't use any indicators. I know what that is, but I personally don't use it. So let's go to crypto now, right, guys? Let's go to crypto. Platinum. Let me look at platinum really quick. I do like platinum. I totally forgot to go over this one. I think I went over this in the weekly outlook. I like platinum because we're in this kind of a ascending kind of channel or horizontal channel. I would say this is more horizontal. This is an impulse down followed by a channel-like correction. And then there is a ascending channel here. Look closely here. Potential pop, ascending channel, impulse down, potential correction. If there's no entry here, I would say wait for a breakout followed by correction here would be much better to look for a sell down to the low. I think you can squeeze in pretty good risk reward down to the low here. Yeah, so that is platinum. Okay, that's kind of something I will look to enter or at least get involved with. I think there's still a lot of room to the downside if we enter or at least wait for a lower time frame continuation here. Okay, so but if it fits your plan to enter halfway, as long as you have good risk management and follow your plan, I think that's fine as well. I like the overall higher time frame correction here. Okay, it's very simple that this is an impulsive move, this is a correction. We can look for the next impulsive move to the low. Sorry guys, I've been talking too much. My throat is getting a little bit dry. So but I'm okay. So I'm okay. I'm not sick or anything. So just kind of looking at the questions. How many open positions would you recommend a trader to have at any time? That all depends, right? You can have a bunch of trade open, but um, I talk about if you're in one of the currency pair positions, like let's say if you're in, like for example, like let's say if I'm in Kiwi yen as an example. So if I'm in Kiwi yen and if my stop loss isn't a break even or a one-to-one profit, I usually will not enter another Kiwi positions or another yen position for that effect. It's just my way of risk management. There's no right or wrong when it comes to this, but it's like if you're in a Aussie yen position, as long as your initial Aussie yen position is at least break even or maybe one-to-one profit, like your stop losses move already, then it's fine entering another Aussie position. I think that's at least for me that fits my plan. Other people they might be like, well, I'm fine entering two positions. I'm fine entering Kiwi yen. I'm fine entering Kiwi CAD. As long as that's in your plan, right? You can have two open positions of the same currency as long as you understand the risk. Because if you're in two Kiwi positions, and both trades are not at break even or in profit, just understand that if the Kiwi gets strong, if they start reversing, then you're gonna take two losses in a row, right? And then if you have three Kiwi positions open, right? Let's say Kiwi yen, Kiwi CAD, and Kiwi dollar. If they all work out, then you're gonna make more profit, of course. But if they don't work out, you're gonna take three losses in a row. And what the problem here is because we're humans, when you take two or three losses right away in a row, guess what we're trying to do? We're trying to revenge, right? This is exactly what traders fail is they take a bunch of losses and the first thing they want to do is to chase back their losses after they just took a bunch of losses. So they'll start entering into the market now without really following their plan or strategy. They just want to enter because they want to revenge the losses that they took, and that just leads into a ongoing circle, which was kind of what I always talk about. You'll take a bunch of losses, and then you'll start trading. You'll start revenge trading, really, and then you'll take a bunch of you over leverage as well, right? You over leverage, and then eventually that just leads into blowing an account, right? And then you're gonna deposit more money, and initially you'll do well, but once you take a bunch of losses, then this cycle repeats. Okay. I say this from experience because I personally, of course, I've done this in the beginning of my trading journey, and I have coached a bunch of students where that is exactly what happened. So I'm really just sharing my honest opinion on this topic and the experiences I have on this area as well. Okay, so the less we take, the more we can control our emotion. The more trades we take, the less we can control. This is why um, I never really inclined to tell people to take a bunch of positions of the same pair. People usually show that on Instagram. They're like, okay, I enter dollar CAD, right? And then it's all they're doing is showing a bunch of dollar CAD positions of the same. That will look good if it's like in profit, and which is we don't know if they're demo or real. We don't know if they're fake or live. We don't know any of that. All we see is the same pair, same position that they keep entering, and people think that's how trading is. There's different way of trading. I'm sure there's people who do that collectively, but what that ends up happening is when you take so many trades, all it takes is just one day of losing, right? One day of losing a bunch of trade like this, and right away you want to just start revenge trades and then start entering back more positions, more of the same positions, and now you're going to open bigger positions or bigger positions, uh, more positions, right, and things like that. That's how people lead into blowing an account. When people often hear blowing an account when they're first new to trading, they're like, "How can that happen? That will never happen to me." Only when they do it, they realize why it happens, right? So I kind of got off topic there a little bit, but all I'm trying to say is I wouldn't take so many pair positions at once. I would try to mitigate it by taking one or so, and unless the first one is in break even or in profit. Okay, so let's wrap up with crypto pairs. Let's look at a few crypto pairs. I'm already out of this Cardano position. I update you guys in Telegram. I exited the trade for break even here. My reasoning is simple. We pushed the price up finally, so there is actually bullish continuation correction here. Okay, the difference here is not just breaking the one-to-one risk reward. I moved to break even. It's we have confirmed bullish impulse, confirmed bullish continuation, and we broke this previous high. So that's all enough for me to move it to break even. Whereas some other trades, I will leave the trade running because I haven't seen enough confirmation yet from the market, and that's really why. So break even here on Cardano, but I like where we are in the price. I like how we can still just move down here, potentially forming a bigger correction because we have pushed up pretty massively. We're just looking for another continuation upside. We see how much price has correct in this overall higher time frame structure. This is an impulsive move. This is a larger continuation. I like how we also break out of that continuation correction as well, right? So this is kind of how I was looking at to see if we just impulsively break out, and then let's wait to see if there's going to be a bigger consolidation here. I would incline to get back into another position and look for another buy. Okay. um, I want to go over Binance Coin as well. I like Binance Coin. Impulsive move, correction, impulsive move, correction, impulsive move. We can be forming a bigger correction here and then still take off afterwards. So be a little bit more patient here. All of this is telling us that the previous lower time frame correction that I saw wasn't enough to correct. So all we did now is just making the correction bigger, and we could potentially still see another move off on the price from this point forward. Okay, I made a video about a couple cryptos that I would look to trade or hold, depending on your strategy. And Binance Coin, Cardano are in that category here. What do I think about Doge? I think you mean Doge, hopefully. What I think about Doge is kind of just this area, what the price will do. I want to see what price will do in this last bit of the area. This is the area that price is failing to break lower. Remember, I made a post here. Let me just see if I can find it. I made a post here is that this is the key kind of the area to watch out for because this was the previous high that price just impulsively break above. Unless I see price move down and form continuation, I still have a very uh, bullish bias, so to speak, is that you see there's twice that the price is trying to break this previous low. This could be the third time, we don't know. But even if it breaks the low, but if it's not followed by continuation correction, then I think this overall move to me is still bullish. Okay, all we're doing here is pretty identical price action than this one, right? We're forming a correction here, and then we kind of push down, and then kind of consolidating here. There's consolidation here as well, but that eventually just lead to a more inclined move. So we'll kind of monitor to see what the price will do in this low here. If it breaks a low followed by correction, then this could lead into a more bearish move. But if it just kind of stall in this area, then I'm looking for more bullish moves in the future. Dot USD, if we go to the higher time frame, same idea is this is one of the one that I think is very good, good one to hold or good one to trade. This is a bigger kind of expanding kind of structure, but still followed by an impulsive move, right? So we will look for to see if price just gonna continue break above this previous high, and then continuation up more. Last one to go over is Ripple. I think Ripple also is very, very clean. Talk about Ripple from here. I think it's just forming a bigger correction here to go upside. This to me is more of a flag, so to speak. This still pushes up very clean, so I want to see how price will reach once we hit this high here. Ultimately is to break out correction and break above that previous high here and look for continuation. I think that's going to be very valid to look to hold or look to trade. Okay, so those are the ones that I'm looking for, at least the one I'm focusing on for the remaining of the week. But I'm not in any of the positions right now. I'm not in any of these cryptos, at least from trading perspective. I do have coins that I'm holding. I do have coins that I'm just holding as a wallet or investing, but I'm not trading on it. I'm not in any trading positions. That's what I meant. So, okay. Yeah, XRP just went over that. Shiba, what's the symbol of that? I'll just try type in. There's, have you seen some news? They say that this could be the next Dogecoin. Well, there's not enough price here to give you that exact kind of confirmation, but all I see here is certainly there is bullish kind of price action, right? There is certainly bullish kind of price action, so don't get me wrong, but um, that's not enough for me to kind of give a more, what am I trying to say, a more bias on this, okay? So maybe I can find more from Binance. No, that's not enough, right? So there's not enough data here, to me at least. Okay, so it's Shiba, right? It's HIBA. Yeah. Okay. So that's it, guys. That's it. Any other questions or any other ones to go over? LTC. Our same approach is because this is at the we're sitting at this previous all-time high now. This is the all-time high that we're sitting at. So my approach is the same. I need to see some sort of breakout or at least some sort of bullish confirmation, followed by continuation. We're sitting at the all-time high here, which is okay, but I preferably see one more push to the upside and then correction. That's something I will get involved in. Okay, I don't like how it's just sitting at the top here, but can certainly lead into a reversal as well. So don't discount that, right? So best to be best to be a little bit more patient here and wait for a little bit more development would be more ideal. Okay. All right. Any other pairs or question, guys? On any of these? I'm going to wrap it up now. Be talking for almost an hour, 40 minutes. Crypto, we just went over. Really not too much, except the ones that I kind of point out that could have potential. I don't. Let me just scroll back to the chart, guys. Just, I mean the chat. See who else if I miss anything. BCH, someone asked that earlier. So Bitcoin Cash looks like on the higher time frame we are pushing up pretty impulsively. I like how we break out of this channel as well. I think that's good price action. Lower time frame wise, kind of to see what this area will do. Looks like this is another consolidation after this move up. So we'll interesting to see if this correction will complete and then eventually lead to another impulsive move to the upside. 88, talk about that. Zcash, is this Zcash? I forgot. No, Zcash. Certainly is moving up, but I'm not seeing like this was the correction in my opinion was the one that to get in because this passed the previous high and then we impulsed out of that previous high and then there's a continuation. So that's the entry that I thought that that's going to be the one that's to get in. But other than that, I think the bullish move is there, pretty much pushing up pretty impulsively. So I think I like the overall uh, long positions or long investment on this one. Cardano, talk about that. Looking at every other comment here. All right, so that's about it, guys. That's about it. Let's wrap it up. We talk about gold. We talk about potential gold. That be a little bit more careful here on whether the price is going to break out of this higher time frame structure and followed by lower time frame continuation. So that's one way of seeing what the current will do. So I'm not looking to enter here. I'm only going to look to see if it breaks out, followed by continuation to go. If that doesn't happen, then expect kind of the same kind of ascending kind of structure and then reverse back down. That's a potential as well. So be careful around this area. We talk about the indices. Looking for downside on indices. My preferred one is the S&P 500. So I want to see what will happen in this remaining kind of days. If it forms some sort of lower time frame correction here, that would be nice to look for a potential sell. Dow Jones, same idea. I like the ascending channel. We break down for significant push down a little bit lower, followed by correction, making this a head and shoulder. That would be something that I could look to get involved as well. And for currencies, we talk about a couple dollar pairs. I mentioned about Aussie dollar. I want to look for a impulse correction breaking out and then followed by continuation. Kiwi dollar and euro dollar very similarly. I want to see if we can just kind of break this previous low first, followed by correction. That will be more inclined for me to get involved in. Euro dollar, same idea is to just wait and see what we'll do in this below. Preferably just break down below the lows and then continuation to the downside, making this more like an M style pattern, double top as well. Dollar kind of mentioned the only way that I will look to get involved is to see a little bit more lower time frame price action, either a inverse head and shoulder or some sort of double top and W style pattern like this, or just a bigger consolidation here that will lead into a impulsive move followed by correction to go this in here. This here enough is not enough for me to justify a buy right away, at least from my plan wise. Okay. Aussie CAD is pushing down, so but like I said, be careful because we're approaching to the low. I don't know if this is going to be the one pushing down lower. Is it enough room? So if you didn't get in on here, I think it's a little bit late, but you can monitor to see what the price will do when we reach the low. Aussie yen, talk about this. Aussie yen, Kiwi yen are looking really clean, looking for further downside opportunities, and I think Kiwi CAD is same thing as Aussie CAD as well. Some of you guys got in on the sale here as well. Okay, so yeah, gotta go. Let's go. Nice to see you, buddy. Any other question before I wrap everything up? I think that is everything I'm looking for the remaining of the week. Okay. Zcash and Doge, I just went over those earlier. Okay, so when I finish it, you can rewatch it. I'm gonna close the stream very soon, anyways. Holly, thanks, Jojo. You always bring me back to logic. I mean, just just explaining it from a technical perspective is, I try not to think too much about it. A lot of people and putting in too much things into trading, and it kind of confuses them. You notice I don't consider anything fundamental. I don't consider anything indicator wise. I'm just looking at strictly from a price action point of view. I pretty much eliminate any type of noise in the market, any type of things that you can potentially confuses you. So no fundamental, no indicators, no support resistance, EMA lines. I'm looking at strictly just from the overall price action, and that's has always been um, what works out for me in trading. I'm trying to put in the word. What has worked for me in trading is just really eliminating a lot of noise out there and just strictly looking at the overall price action and having a plan to execute, having confirmation to look for, and etc. Okay, so hope that helps. So yeah, have a nice day, buddy. So I'm gonna wrap it up. So hope everyone will enjoy the rest of the week. So on the weekend, I usually will do a trade recap video on all the trades that I take for this week. So you're welcome to watch that, and then I will do the weekly outlook on Sunday night, Monday morning. All right. So hope everyone is safe out there. Hope everyone is healthy out there, and hope to chat with you guys all next time. And be safe out there wherever you guys are. And have a good day, everyone. Thank you.